Welcome to the Country Fried Outdoors Chasing Your Experience podcast. The podcast that will connect you to resources regionally and nationwide to engage them in open, honest discussions so that we can inspire the growth that you need to chase the experience you want. So strap yourself in because here we go. And he's back. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Country Fried Outdoors Chasing Your Experience podcast. We are on episode number 4 of this mini series with the Scrape Doctor. And with that being said, with me is the Scrape Doctor himself, James Holm. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm doing good, Sean. How are you doing?
Good.
We're living the dream here. So look, anytime I get to sit down with you and talk about scrapes and talk about deer hunting in general, it's a good time. So I'm glad to be here again.
We've been talking a good bit, and I think every time we talk, it gets better and better because we just I think we're just getting comfortable with each other and building that friendship. So
Yeah,
it's just this has been a good series for everybody, and we've got one more after this one that we got scheduled, and it doesn't mean we'll be done, but I think we got one more for this mini series. So if you're on episode number 4, that means you got one more to go yet. But remember, we've got 3 more ahead of this. So if you haven't seen episode 1, episode 2, or episode 3 of this mini series, you really need to go back and check those out before you start diving into this one, because it'll make more sense to you after you've heard all the stories and the just the discussions that you and I have had through the first 3 to get to this point. So make sure you get back there and check that out. So
yeah, definitely take it back and go start back at number 1. And if you really want to get yourself even more prepared for some of this stuff, you can go back. They can go back to the first 3 conversations that we had before we started this and prepare themselves for what they're going to hear in this mini series.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, we got 3 from last year that we really started to dive. We started to dive into it, but the idea behind this mini series was to dive even deeper into like more specific topics per each one. And those 3 were they were broad, but yet but in depth, if that makes sense. Like we really covered a lot in those 3, but they were more broad and they dealt more with time of year versus like specifics, like, the preseason, and even during like the early season. And when we say early season, I'm talking like turkey season on, right? That portion up until about when most deer seasons start coming in, the rut, and then post rut, and going into what you referred to as the great wait for the season to roll back around again. So
yeah, the great.
Those 3 episodes focus more on timing of the year, and some specifics to do just to get started and what to be doing during those times of year. And now these series, if this is the first time you've logged into one of these series, like I said, are more specific about just specific aspects of the game. So hope you guys have enjoyed them. We're not done yet, but hope you've been enjoying them. And if you're just, like I said, if you just started, you got to go back and start at square one, so you don't get lost in some of these conversations. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, it should be good. It should be good, Sean. We usually do have a pretty good conversation once we get going and get on track with this. So we tend to get off track a little bit sometimes, but
Well, you know how it goes. It's part of the discussion. It's long form discussion. That's why it's supposed to be.
Right. It's kind of like deer camp, only on video. That's all.
Only on video chat.
Right.
It's how it works.
Yeah.
So we've covered a good gamut. Last episode we talked a lot about scents, and when I say scents, I mean like smelly stuff, not make sense. Smelly stuff, scents.
Yeah.
The do's and don'ts, give them a pretty good ranking to kind of give an idea where to start, to make their own mind up on which direction they want to go with what their scent choice for their mock scrapes or just their deer, their deer hunting in general. But I think today, I think you and I discussed it. We want to focus more on, and I know this sounds bad, and maybe this isn't the exact term, but we want to talk a lot about the quote unquote like mock scrape failures and I guess the corrections and resets for those,
Right.
and the importance behind those, and maybe some nuances behind those, and little little tidbit here. The reset, as we're calling it, may not be as much of a reset as you think. So stand by for that conversation because that's coming up.
Yeah, that's common.
So James, how do you want to start this off? Where do you want to start this at?
Well,
You want
let's
we want to
first
talk?
off let's hit on the what we call it, what we're saying we're calling it a failure. The mock scrape
Okay.
failure part of this. Let's hit that first. Okay, so
Okay.
when I say a failure, what I mean is you're not getting the reaction or the interaction with that licking branch and that scrape that you made like you thought you were going to get, or
Mhm.
like should happen, truthfully, because you've honestly 100% have just missed the sweet spot. That's all. Location. It's all about location. We talked about this in the first episode. It's everything's about that location. You either get it right or you don't. Um, if if a deer hits a mock scrape once or twice, that's not success. That's you got a deer to hit a scrape a couple times. Um, it's it's partially success, yes. You got a deer to hit a scrape a couple times now. Now let's fast forward to the reset that we just talked about, and then we'll cover all of that even further in depth. And what we mean by a reset doesn't mean you have to reset everything that you've done. You didn't. Not everything's wrong. It isn't. It's not that at all. What I'm talking about when I say a reset is that one in particular scrape that you thought when you set it up was going to be the one. So if that's what you're going for, then now you take that scrape that's been hit, say, 2 times, and you stand in it at your licking branch and you reach your arms out. Most people, their wingspan is the same as their height. So that'd be on a general rule, I say 6 feet for me. So,
Mhm.
and then most of us, if you have a little bit of a short inseam like I do, and you sidestep that 6 feet, you give it a little more hop. So you're roughly 8 feet, one way or the other. It doesn't matter to me which way you go. Just go. Make another mock scrape in either one of those spots. That's it. Walk away. Now you've triggered, now why, and that deer's going to come back. And if he visits that scrape again, which he will, the pattern won't continue necessarily in that first scrape where you had the failure. Okay. So he comes to that
Mhm.
scrape, but when he comes up to that tree again, because there was a scrape there before, he goes, oh, wait a minute. Now there's another scrape. He's going to go to that one and he'll work that one now because now there's 2 different deer there that have made scrapes and now we can't have this. So he'll work that scrape and chances are he'll go beside the one that was already there and make another one somewhere else around that same tree. And when I say that same tree, my rule of thumb for that is that I make that particular type of scrape under fruit trees, apple trees, pear trees, cherry trees, because of the droop of the branches. So that's your reset in a nutshell, is just right there in that general area, in the location within it.
Okay. So let's I want to I want to run a scenario by you, and you kind of touched on it already when you're talking about a reset, talking about Bucks making another scrape. So let's run a scenario by you. So I made a couple mock scrapes, following the same, almost kind of same trail. We'll just put it that way, same trail. And now, while some of them got some activities, I noticed that sometime between the time that I have created these mock scrapes, right, deer actually came in and made their own scrape in between the two. So would would that in essence be a failure of those mock scrapes, or would that be a success? Because I want to make sure we narrow that down for some folks.
And, and I'm calling that a success because you've triggered that deer to react to the scrape that you already made.
Mm-hmm.
The failure is the complete ignoring of your initial effort. If he made a scrape within the same parameter, you know what I mean, along the same line as you were already
Mm-hmm.
making your scrapes, it's a win. You've kept him there. He made another scrape. He stood there for another 3 to 5 minutes making that scrape in that licking branch before he moved on, because he probably hit another one of your mock scrapes along the way after he left there, because now he's got
Mm-hmm.
himself, I made a scrape, now I'm all puffed up again. I'm going to have to take this out again on something else as I go down the line. And probably
Right.
2 or 3 scrapes down the line, he's got his head in another bush tearing it up. So it's a win.
So with that being said, then what would you do in that situation? In a similar situation, that the dead in between the two mock scrapes, would you then start to apply scent to that scrape that they originally made and continue running your two mock scrapes then? So would you
Absolutely.
add? Okay,
Yeah, you don't.
yeah,
I don't even
that's.
have to let you get to the end of that sentence. Yeah, I'm gonna then take that scrape from him
Mhm,
because that's gonna trigger him to make another one and probably another one beyond that.
mhm.
Plus, still continue to hit the mocks. So if he makes 5, I'll take 3 and leave 2 for him that are his own.
Okay,
And then if he makes 3 more on top of that, I'll take 1, leave 2 more for him. And then just keep on going. The more he makes, the more I take. And then that all that does is irritate and agitate and keep him there looking for that other buck. So, you know,
yeah, and that makes sense. I think it kind of goes along with the idea of resets too. Like I think
yeah,
in my mind, I kind of see that as being a little bit of a reset too. Like you're in the right vicinity, and they obviously want to communicate there. So that's a little bit of that reset there. I guess another way to look at that.
yeah. The whole, well, for me, it's just it's triggered. They're triggered to do it.
Mhm,
You've triggered an instinct in the deer to do what it should do anyway. Um, it just didn't do it in exactly the spot you put them in initially. It's decided to do it in the middle between two of
mhm,
those, um, to see if it can bait that other buck into his scrape now, which it worked. He went up, he sprayed that licking branch, and now he's aggravated. And where'd he go? Now
mhm,
he's been here and I missed him. So there now what are you doing? You're building that pattern. Here comes that pattern. And most guys are building it and doing it and they don't realize that they're doing it. And that's the part they don't get taught by anybody making mock scrapes along the way is you're building patterns and then at the end of deer season you just stop. Take all that stuff out of the woods, you take it home, throw it in your barn or in your shed or in your tote or wherever you keep all your hunting stuff. And
mhm.
that's where it lays until September. Um, so this is why we say year round, year round, year round, because that pattern's already built. You look at your deer on your place already; they're there. You know,
Mhm.
look what we talked about off air with the farm that we just reactivated the cameras in Ohio, and one of the megabucks that we had is already on the camera right away because he
Uh-huh.
never left. He's
Right.
caught in the pattern. So, and it's a
Yeah,
year-round deal.
it is, and I think that's the biggest misconception. And we have hammered this,
Oh my
and
goodness, have
let me
we?
say you have hammered this. We'll put between the two of us, we have hammered this very well. And I think that's the biggest misconception that like you said, a lot of people just tear it down, and they'll wait till next rut, and then they'll start spraying stuff out, thinking it'll work.
Yeah.
But in reality, this is a almost, how do I want to put this? So this should be just as important of a supplement to your hunting plan as like your food plots or your mineral sites. All these things that you are giving attention to year round. Now, granted, we don't need to go to the mock scrapes like you said every freaking day
No.
to go reset those up. So it's really not that big of a time commitment. Like I think you're gonna spend more of a time commitment on food plots than you
All of the
are.
things that we already are doing can be
Yeah.
as it gets laid out through the summer and as the
Mhm,
year goes on and progresses into the season.
mhm,
If you're gonna look at, we tell everyone every couple of months, to 6 to 8 weeks on the refreshes. And if you go longer than that, you go longer than that. So if you go in there
mhm.
now and you put your stuff all up and you get your ropes hung, you get them sprayed, you do all of that stuff. It's turkey season. You're all done with it. You're fishing now. It's time. Your kids got baseball games. Yada yada yada.
Right.
It's summer. Well, here comes July. It's time to plant my food plots in July. Well, guess what? That's about 8 weeks.
Mhm.
So why not just walk by all that stuff with your scrape magic because you're there anyway. And if you're worried about, oh well, I'm too much intrusion, well, you're already there stinking up the place, doing your food plots and stuff. So add a little more stink and be done with it until
Yeah.
September again. You go back in September when you're ready to do all of the rest of your final setup stuff because everybody does. There's very few guys that don't go back in the woods. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, let's face it, there are very few guys that are able to have that kind of discipline where they just stay out. They just
Right.
can't do it. And no time constraints don't allow it, whatever the case may be. Or let's just be realistic, they don't want to. You know, I don't want to. I'm not that guy. I don't want to. No, no. That's my deer hunt land. I want to be on it. I want to work with it and use it. So,
Right.
so then you go in that last setup, that last push before you hunt, and everything, like I told you, the velvet has come off. We've covered this pretty heavy in the beginning too.
Mm-hmm.
That velvet
Mm-hmm.
drops, the aggression begins. Because we've already patterned these deer and pushed these deer to that, to where
Right.
we're ready to do things ahead of schedule. We're ready to kickstart this. So guys that are having conversations with me like you just had with me earlier saying, man, I want to get out I want to get my buck killed early this year, first part of the season, instead of waiting until way late. Well, these are the patterns. You build these patterns starting in turkey season. Well, by the time your bow season starts, you should be flinging an arrow the first 2 or 3 days. Your grip and grin should come on the 3rd or 4th day, late at the latest. If you've done everything right, you correct.
I've only done that once.
Correct the failures that all of those things. Yeah, but you've learned from all of the mistakes that have been made all along up until this point. You've learned something from every single one. And sooner or later, that's all going to culminate in the reward.
Right.
The great reward.
It's a little foreshadowing there, by the way.
Yeah, a little bit. The grand reward.
Little foreshadowing. So, you and I talked a little bit off air, and we focused on a certain set, like more of a natural failure. Like it's just the deer aren't visiting as much or whatever. Let's look at like a man-made failure. And I think this is one too that we should probably talk about, and that's overhunting that scrape.
Yeah.
Or maybe just you're in there way too much.
That's the most common failure right there, is you hunt right on top of that scrape. And by that scrape, I'm talking about, like we've talked about before, the community scrape, the communal scrape, the main hub. All those other scrapes are the ones that you want to hunt over, not that one. That's the one where all the activity happens. There will be deer around that all the time, and if you hunt over the top of that, you're going to blow all the deer out. You're going to ruin the location. Man-made failure right there. That is the number one thing that I try to get guys to not do. Don't hunt over the top of that main scrape. Hunt the exits, the approaches. 50 yards off, 40 yards off. You don't have to see it. You know it's there. You put it there. You know what I mean? Don't hunt on top of it. Go around the corner and hunt that approach. Set yourself up. Set your stands and your blinds appropriately so that the deer are focused on the task at hand, which are your scrapes, your licking branches, and all of that stuff, the water, the food plot, the does, all of those things, and not focused on where you are. You don't want your deer to walk into off of a transition zone coming to a scrape, down a scrape line. You don't want them walking smack into you and looking at you in the tree. You want everything to be on angles, so that deer, you're not caught in their line of vision. You get them out, get outside their peripheral vision, and they're not going to catch you when you pick up your bow or whatever it is, and then they're already kind of in a natural quartering away position. So all of that stuff, is stuff that will be man-made failures, bad positioning, hunt the wrong winds on your scrapes. Even if you are hunting off of the scrape, like we're saying, to get off of that scrape, don't hunt a bad wind. Don't defeat the purpose and then go hunt the wrong wind and have it just blow right down there anyway. Because you may as well have gone down there and sat right under that licking branch with your bow. And I mean, because I'm not making any grand I'm not delusional. I mean, there's still deer. They're still skittish, and everything's trying to kill them all the time. I mean, and they're still like that. We just have them caught in a pattern and make them more killable. That's all. So
I mean, when you talk failures, I don't think there's I think really the two big broad spectrums there is that right there. It's either you're just not right on the spot, so you need to move a little bit. Maybe you'll get yourself on the spot as you keep moving a little bit, and we'll talk about that more in the reset. And the other one is you're just you're just blowing the deer out of there because you're hunting it too much, or you're in there too much, or whatever it is, or you're just hunting on the wrong days because the wind's blowing down in there and they're
Yeah,
picking up on it.
yeah, and
So
look, I mean, I got I've got all the faith in the world in all of my products and my scrape magic and all of my stuff, but that doesn't mean you can do things wrong and the
right.
things are still going to work. I mean, that's just not reality.
No, that's everything that's out there deer hunting wise. And in my humble opinion, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's the ozone generators. I
Yeah,
don't care if it's your cover sense, your scent eliminators, all these things. If it's not you can become overconfident in your abilities with that.
yeah,
And by when I say that, by what I mean by that is with that overconfidence, you start doing stupid things
yes,
and you don't pay attention to the wind. You don't, you know, that may help you in some instances, but I can tell you, I've had more times than not that I followed a pretty strict scent regimen for a longest time. And I've had times deer have picked up on my trail. I'm not wearing like any Evercalm or any natural like deer scent, like cover scents on me. It's either just straight no scent at all or like a fresh earth type scent, right? I've had deer cut my trail and follow me to my tree, sit there and sniff the tree underneath of me, even when I've tried my very best at that. So, like I said, it's not a free pass for you to get
no,
away with stuff, dumb stuff, right? It's like camo. Camo doesn't save you from everything. Yeah, we can have an argument about what camo is best, and I'm
it's
not
not that.
I'm not
Honestly,
part of
that's
this.
not even a conversation worth arguing about. Truthfully,
No, no, it's not. Some camos, yes, will help you, but at the same time, like if you do something stupid, if you move at the wrong time, draw your bow at the wrong time, they're still going to see you. Or if you're silhouetted on the tree wrong. So none of the stuff we talk about is the golden ticket that's going to get you that's going to cover up your mistakes. You still have to have good woodsmanship and still understand deer and how to hunt deer.
yeah,
Um, and practice good and practice good tactics and stuff while you're out there doing that. So
yeah.
that's a good. I think that's something that I
Well, and
I
that's
don't
the
think
thing
we
that I
I
think
don't think we have to stand, but we do.
that's what's lost, honestly, in the woods today is woodsmanship.
Mhm.
Because of the things that we have and the technology we have, all of those things have replaced woodsmanship.
Mhm.
You don't have to be good at reading deer sign because a trail camera will do that for you. I
Yeah.
mean, they'll tell you what time a deer's coming every day. You know,
Mhm.
before you could, even if you had a pile of corn down or a pile of bait down, you didn't know what time they were coming unless you were in that seat. You didn't know, you know?
No.
So, yeah, I mean, technology has made things easier, but it's also made things more difficult because it's taken away the natural ability of people to do what we do, and
Right.
it's the woodsmanship goes all the way down to after you let go of that arrow. What's the
Mhm.
first thing most people do? Well, what do you guys think of this blood? Should I call a dog? Well, I don't know. It's only one drop about as big as a nickel on one leaf. How about you show us the whole blood trail? You
Should I
know?
call a dog or should I call a drone? Which
Yeah.
one should I be doing right now?
Well, honestly, if I
Um,
had to pick, I would call the drone first because it's super fast.
yeah, but it's super
Dogs
expensive
have their
though.
place,
Right.
really do, but drones are honestly they're fan. I just saw a conversation about this very thing on working class ball hunters. They were just talking about drones and deer recovery.
Yeah, that's and not to get too far off topic, but that is definitely a hot button topic. And I don't know. I think mm, there's a I think there's a chance that some states will start to outlaw 'em.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Uh, Personally, I
I
think they should be allowed in all the states. I mean, as a recovery tool. You know,
right,
do I think we should be able to use them to aid us in hunts? Absolutely not, because then you're cheating.
right.
You fly one of those, I mean, the quality of the cameras and blah, blah, blah. You know, you get up above these deer, they'll never know you're there and zoom right in on them.
Mhm.
So,
I wish my buddy or my taxidermist, they shot a nice buck. His wife did. They couldn't find it, so they called a drone in, and they found it like lickety split. But they found it when they found it. There's a coyote eating out of the front end of it, around the brisket, and they have like amazing footage from above of this coyote sitting there eating on that deer.
wow.
And I wish you would share it with me, or at least share it somewhere. He's not big on sharing stuff on social media and stuff. I wish you would, because it was an amazing video. It's like
That would be good footage to show. I mean,
just the quality of the footage that you got from that.
yeah.
Unfortunately, the thing is that most states are going to, or most rules are based upon the very small percentage of I'm going to say it, assholes out there who do dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Um, they make a rule about it instead of actually addressing that particular thing. They just make a rule and just outlaw it outright.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, and then you're always going to have guys that say, nah, I don't have to follow. I'm not doing that.
Right.
That doesn't, not me. You know, that's
Right.
kind of where we're at in Michigan with this new, because now we have telecheck. You know,
Yeah.
we got to, or not telecheck, but you know what I mean. We got to do it online.
Yeah.
Um, Online reporting. You know, I
Mhm.
love it. Personally, I love it. I wish they would do away with the tag system completely and let us just do that. I absolutely love it. I think it's the greatest. When I first went out of state and had that, I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. We don't have to put a tag or anything. No, just call it in. Takes like 3 seconds and you're done.
Yeah.
You know?
We've been doing that for a while in Ohio.
Yeah,
We
I
actually
mean,
have
in Michigan, by law, you see look at all the pictures. If you start next fall, pay attention to all the pictures of the deer that you see and you don't see any tags on them anywhere. Those deer are illegal because by law, you have to have the tag affixed to that animal before you move it, which means even field dress it. You can't even field dress before you tag legally.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not the guy to call people out, but I see it and I think, well, let's go to the comment section and see how many times people said there's no tag. You know, and it never disappoints. It's immediate. So
It's immediate. Hey, where's your tag at on that?
yeah,
Which is nice about Ohio, because now we don't have to tag them until we are no longer in possession of them. So we used to have to make our own tag when we went to all electronic. Now you can still buy a paper one if you wanted to, or print out one, but you just had to have, like, at one time you just had to have a tag. Now they don't require you to have a tag on it until you drop it off and leave it in someone else's possession. So as long as you are in possession of the deer, you don't have to have a tag on it. We have an app now to where we can, and the app's been out for a few years, to where now we can buy all of our licenses. They're all on our phone now, and we can tag deer in, or turkey. Yeah, those are the two species that we tag in here, from our phone, and we don't have to call anywhere as long as you have cell service. So it's kind of nice. So,
yeah.
but with that also comes the responsibilities too. But
Well, and that's, you know, you got and then you always got the guys. I'm not doing that. I don't have any. I don't have any internet service. I don't know how to do the internet. Yada yada yada. Well, somebody knows how to do the internet. And look, where we live, you're not going to get very far. You're going to have internet. There are very very few places here that you have zero connection to the outside world. So to hear guys say, I'm just not doing it, well, then you're a poacher. Simple as that.
Yeah.
You're poaching. So.
Now, yeah, we still allow for paper, though. Obviously, there's some communities in Ohio that are forbidden from using technology.
Yeah,
I'll just put it that way. And they still do paper, and I don't think you will ever get rid of it. Like, you'll never not be able to do a paper tag or something of some sort.
Yeah.
Because we still have license. You can still go to a dealer somewhere and get a license from somebody. It's very far and few in between, because there's really nothing to it. Like, you don't make money off of those, and a lot of people just got out doing it, and especially deer checks.
It's kind of the same thing here. The state don't get paid by the state anymore to do it.
Right.
You know, it's just more of a hassle for them to have the machines. And but we also, all of our kill tags right now, deer, turkey, bear, bobcat, otters, and some, I think one other thing, all have a kill tag that has to get affixed to the antler. So you have to have a paper tag. You can buy your fishing license, your base hunting license, all that, and have it as a, on your phone. But as far as kill tags that have to be attached, you either have to buy them in person or they mail them to you. So you can't buy them like your deer license, which comes with 2 tags. You can't like buy it on your phone the night before and go to deer camp because you aren't going to have the tags. You won't have kill tags, so you're not legal.
Yeah. See, we they give us a confirmation number over the phone or through the text or through the oh, give me a second, through the app. When you do it on the app, you get like it's like a 6 or 7 digit, numbers and letters confirmation code.
Yeah.
And that's what you use when you take it to your taxidermist. That's what you use when you take it to whoever's going to process the deer, all those things. And that's what you have to have, when they, in case they want to ask you questions, is that confirmation number.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, there we go.
Back where we were.
Rabbit hole number 1.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked a little bit about the failures and things, and we started to touch on the resets.
Yeah.
Before we get ready for farther in that whole reset conversation, is there any other failures that we've not talked about? I mean, because I think a broad conversation.
It is, and there are. There are honestly, there's probably multiple things that we can call failures. I suppose if you want to call the scenario that you talked about with making the scrape in the middle in between 2 of your mocks a failure, I suppose you can, but it isn't. So yeah, the man-made ones are, again, the failure is not the right location, improper height, where the deer just won't work it, too high. That's, there's a failure. And as far as the wrong scents at the wrong times, in the wrong places, we covered, those are all failures. Whether you get a deer to come up and sniff a licking branch with pee on it or not, it's not going to be consistent and it won't be a success. So, and then other failures would be not using enough scrapes, licking branches, on a property. That's a mistake, I guess, more than a failure, but it's a mistake that leads to big failure. So those are really location. It's always about that, and proper hanging height and all of that. Those are the 2 key things. We've talked 100 times about I can't walk out on a sidewalk somewhere and throw up a licking branch because there's a tree there at exactly the right height, and then have a trail camera, and then, oh look, the deer are going to come, just because it's, there still has to be deer there, and it has to be the right location. So,
once again, back to there's no magic bullet.
Right, exactly. And that leads us right into that reset thing. Okay, so now it's not the right location. Where is the right location? Somewhere in this range, probably, truthfully. About 85% of the time it's within that distance. That's all it is. Got them there, you're almost there. They came, and something just wasn't quite right. Something wasn't right. And it might have been nothing more than they didn't like what they were seeing in front of them, where they were standing, the approach. It may have been a million little things that could have created the failure. But now you reset, and you're going to get the success then, because you're going to add and add and add to the success that you do get, because they're going to hit one of those new scrapes that you hit. They're going to hit it, and then you're going to build from that, because they're going to continue on their own. So the reset is going to be the addition of multiple scrapes after your success on that initial setup, after the reset side to side. If that makes sense. I know it sounds kind of convoluted and more difficult.
It does. It does make sense. I was going to ask you, so I would probably tell them, like, don't be afraid either. Like, if you move that initial 8 feet and you don't get any activity there, don't be afraid to move it again
Yeah, right.
and
And
move
if
it
you don't
again.
have to go the opposite direction either, keep going 8 feet the other way.
Right.
You're eventually going to
Mhm.
come all the way around in a full circle and
Right.
come back to where you started. And then if you fit, and if nothing happens and you've done all of that, then it's not the right location, period. You've not hit the right
Yeah.
spot. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Go look around. You better be, if you get to, seriously, if there's a scrape, you make a mock scrape there and then end up having to make 2 more and nothing happens, you better take a walk. You better
Mhm.
go for a walk both directions away from that and get your edges fine. Go for a walk. There's something going
Right.
on. The scrapes are elsewhere. The deer are roaming other places. Something's just off. So there's the big reset there where you have to go and find the activity if you want to go that far because you've missed something. If you're that far into it now, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
You're behind the ball now. You're way
Yeah.
behind the 8 ball. So because now it's July and
Right.
you've lost your activity. You don't know where it went, what happened, what did I, and at that point, my mind is saying to me, what did I do? What did I do wrong? I'm almost in
Mhm.
a panic in my own mind because now I have to figure this out. And why did these deer abandon these locations? What did I do? There's nothing on camera telling me, you
Right.
know, and maybe there's nothing on camera at all. That's,
Mhm.
that's where you've got a big issue when nothing's there at all. Um,
So basically, at this point, it'd be like, I would want to leave, or you would want to leave. You're not getting any activity after you made a couple of shifts of that original position. You want to basically, like you said, we're going to take a hike, but we want to find fresh sign
yeah, we're,
and
we're
then
gonna,
start
well,
over.
you're gonna take a step back. You're gonna, because at this point you've lost all your confidence in the product. You know what I
Right.
mean? You've gone quite a long time now, and you're not getting. Hey, that scrape doctor guy promised me these great results, and look at it. That's trash. Well,
Yeah.
I get it. I understand. You got to get in your own head now and say, look, what are we going to do to fix this? Because he's
Mhm.
telling me that it's me. You know what I mean? And it's not his stuff. Well, I don't believe him. Well, if people just trust the system,
Mhm.
do as I say, and go for that walk and find that fresh sign, like you just said. There comes that woodsmanship. Go find the sign. You found it there, or you thought you found it there and made that mock scrape there, and that clearly
Mhm.
wasn't the hot spot, wasn't that peach of a spot. So now you have to go find it. So
And that could even be like, even if you know the property or you hunted the property before, or you've done some scouting, you found old scrapes,
yeah,
follow the same trail that that scrape is on, go set yours up somewhere off of that, and then start to hub off from there.
right.
And then
Well, you
start that system from there.
basically what it amounts to is if you can find those old scrapes,
Mhm.
that means they're probably not quite as old as you think, and if they're clear and it's summertime, that means they're active. They're standing in them at the
Right.
very least. Because
Yes.
when they stand in them and they walk away, what do? They drag leaves out when they walk away, or they pull them in.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They don't ever stay completely full of leaves if the deer are walking in and out of them all the time and milling in circles
Right.
under that licking branch. So follow those scrapes to the hub. You'll find it, or you'll find a spot where all those scrapes seem to converge, and there may not even be. There's not going to probably be a scrape there, but your mind at that point should go, "Oh my God, look at this! I'm gonna put a licking branch right here. I'm gonna start a mock right here, and
Mhm.
then that's the spot. That is the spot that turns communal, that turns into your community hub.
So what are the resets you think? Because that makes, I mean, that, I don't think you can break it down any easier than that, other than just moving just a little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah,
And like you said, like, even that small shift is enough to, could be in most cases, is enough to actually create a difference for the deer. So obviously height's another thing. I think that's an easy thing to talk about. Just lower it.
yeah.
If you see,
Lower your expectations and lower your licking branch. It's as simple as that.
and we covered that on the height as well a lot. Like there's no such thing really as too low. You're
Really,
going to
there's
see
not.
too high. Yeah, you're going to see too high, but I guess if you're going to err when you're setting these, especially if you have to reset, if you're going to err lower than higher.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so that's a pretty quick and easy one to talk about, and that's just lower the thing. Set it down lower than you think, because if you think it needs to be here in your face, you're wrong. It needs to be down lower than that.
Yes, yes.
Um,
And then I guess the other thing that will set you up for a location to fail, even if you hit that sweet spot and you're in the great spot and you hang your rope there and you don't hang it stiff enough and it's spinning in circles and they chase it, like we've talked about.
mhm,
Like they don't,
mhm,
we've discussed, they don't like the loose rope. They don't want that loose rope. They
right,
want that stiff, rigid thing there to work
right,
against and that resistance.
right,
So
mhm,
if that rope is swinging free like that and not straight down and where they can whack it around, I mean, it's going to move obviously some because it has
right,
to, right? So they can,
right,
um,
mhm,
that's a failure because they're going to lose interest in that, chasing it around and whipping their head around like that. And then down they go. Like we've talked about, they find another branch that's nice and stiff,
mhm.
work it, and now we're happy and we're not coming back.
Is that because someone's not tightening it enough to the whatever they were tightening it
Yeah,
to, and they're
honestly,
seeing too much of it?
what it amounts to usually is, see, it's got that wire loop on there, so
Mhm,
people will take those zip ties and just put it through the wire loop and zip tie it right to the branch instead of
mhm,
clipping. I always recommend to clip the branch that you're going to
mhm.
hang it on, slide it over, and then zip tie in an X over the top, and that will
Okay,
tighten that up and make it more rigid hanging down instead of it swinging free. Because if you just
okay.
zip tie the zip tie tight over that wire, it's like a pendulum.
Mhm.
So um, it makes a huge difference.
That's a hot tip. And ladies and gents, if you like that hot tip, make sure you like and subscribe.
Yeah, do that. Make sure you do that and go over to the Scrape Doctor and do the same thing.
Yeah, check the Scrape Doctor out as well on his Instagram, TikTok, Facebook as well.
Yep.
No YouTube, no YouTube yet, and I don't know if it's ever going to be. I can't talk him into it yet.
Well, I've got one. I've got one. But we just, I suppose we could load all these. I could load all these TikTok videos that I already have that are already videos into my
Uh-huh.
shorts and just run a whole gob of shorts off of the YouTube side. I guess I don't know if that's how it works or not. I don't know a whole lot about it.
That's
So
what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing with mine.
yeah.
I'll tell you this: YouTube will flag more stuff for copyright though.
Oh, because of the
So
music and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
not
I
YouTube.
actually just got hit by Facebook. They took away my monetization
Hmm.
on the Scrape Doctor page for saying that I was, what did it say? I reposting, not using original material. So that I was reposting material and not making any noticeable improvements. I was just reposting. So basically spam is what they were trying to say, I think. Um, for like 2 days.
Jesus.
And then today I log on and it says, oh, you are now earning money again. I didn't even do anything either time.
Yeah,
So I just said,
I,
well, okay, thanks. Appreciate it. And,
I
um,
think that's an AI. You want my honest opinion? I think
they're
an
AI
AI
bots. They
flagged it.
even said in the description that it was an AI, they're AI, agents. That's what
Mhm.
they call them, not bots. They call them agents.
Flagged it.
Yeah.
Yeah, flagged it, and then somebody had to review it and like, nope, and open it back up
Yeah.
again.
No, we're wrong. It's like the fact
You know,
checker thing, right?
let's talk about this for a second. I know that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but dang it, I want to talk about this.
Okay.
So I am waiting for the first big multi-million-dollar maker on one of these avenues to get banned like that, right? Or they get demonetized for like a very brief moment. And I'm gonna give Walmart as an example because of some of my I had not dealt with Walmart in this instance, but so Walmart, and I'll share. Walmart knows to the second what their revenue is at a particular store
Yeah.
at a particular time. They can tell you what their overall generalized revenue is at that moment, right? So let's say somebody in the government says, "Hey, there's some type of threat that we need to shut you down for." Like, it's somebody has called in some type of threatening message. I'm not going to use the B word or whatever, but some type of threatening message that eludes us to believe that we need to shut you down to do a search to make sure it is safe. Walmart's fine. We'll do that. However, if you don't have enough probable cause and they find out about it, they will sue. Yeah. And they know what their revenue is. And they say, this is how much money we lost because of this. Yeah. I'm waiting for the first, and I don't, and most people who are getting in the hunting realms not making that much money off these platforms. Yeah. But I'm waiting for somebody who actually does make a decent amount of money to get hit like that, and then they sue because they pay attention to their analytics to see how much money they're supposed to be making. And when they get banned by an AI agent for no reason, now do you owe me that revenue that your AI inappropriately banned me for? Yeah. So that's an area of concept. I've been wanting to talk about that for a very long time and bring that up. And now since you bring it up, I'm going to talk. I'm like, I'll take this opportunity to talk about it.
You're right. I mean, who's it going to be? You know what I mean? Who is it going to be? It'll be, who are the big ones on TikTok? You know what I mean? That are actually making any real revenue. Guys like probably Seek One.
Yeah.
Working class bow hunter. They have to be making some money. I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Seek One probably is going to be one of your better ones, but they've had stuff blocked from them.
Oh yeah, they're not. There's. I don't know that any of the bigger names have been immune to some kind of banning or shadow banning or something. But completely shut down, no. That's just a thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm waiting for someone to actually have the revenue to go about that and then say, hey, listen, this is how much money you took from me because your AI did this. So, well, I think we've covered a good bit, to be honest with you. I think we covered a good bit. I think we've covered resets. I mean, I don't want to overcomplicate it, right?
I think, and that's just it. I mean, the whole case. So you make the mock scrape, it doesn't work. You sidestep a little bit, make another one. And I guess if you wanna go to even another step than that, sidestep one way, make one sidestep the other way, and make a second one, and leave that one in the middle alone, and see what happens from there. Do that. And a lot of times, all three of them will then light up. So yeah, you don't need to overcomplicate it because it's not that complicated. Again, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here.
Right. And then even by saying that, you're not saying, hey, you need to go buy 2 more ropes and then do that. Just use the natural foliage.
Right. And that's, and that's always been kind of my thing. Oh, well, what if I buy a rope and I don't get any activity on the rope or whatever? We'll go spray some of the branches then that lead to that rope and then lower that rope to where it belongs, like we talked about, and go on about your day and watch your trail cameras light up and you'll get pictures from there forward, and these guys that don't believe, we'll cover this a little bit more about, we'll go back to that height thing, and the guy, for the guys that don't believe, take one of these ropes out and hang it at your chin, the bottom of that rope at your chin, and watch the deer that walk up to it and have to stretch to reach it because they just cannot reach, Again, I sent you that video. I've got pictures of that poison ivy at my waist, and that buck is still not tall enough to reach it all the way. So that's probably, honestly, I'm sure that's the one thing that you're probably sick of hearing me talk about is how high to hang these ropes and all these vines.
Well, it's important because I think most people don't think of it that way. They just don't see it that way. They want to keep it up high or whatever. They don't think it's that important, and that's where the most mistakes happen. I've hung stuff lower than I thought that I did, or at least I thought I hung it lower. I still have deer that don't reach it. I'm like, well, that's got to come down even lower.
And you're never going to get every single deer to be able to reach every single thing. It just isn't feasible to think that way because the fawns are always going to be the littlest. And those fawns that were fawns last fall, they're coming into their, they're going to be a year old here in in another month or so. They're still really small. They're still not very big. So they're not going to be able to reach super good. but boy, do those little
Right.
button bucks seem to like this stuff. I mean, look at the videos that we get of them
Yeah, they
just
do.
prancing around and dancing around these ropes, and they
Mhm.
can't reach them most of the time, but they want them. They
Right.
can smell it and they're dancing for it. So,
Mhm.
you're right. It's important. It's probably the most important thing, honestly.
The sad, the sad thing, it's a very thin line between being just low enough for the deer to reach, but not too low that the
Well,
raccoons
and
can
that,
get
and
to it.
that's the other thing too, is I mean, the predators in general, not just raccoons, coyotes too. Um, I've
Uh-huh.
lost 3 now in Kansas to the coyotes. They jump up and get them, and they're just gone. They take off with them like toys and play with them just like a dog would, and they're just gone.
My,
So it is what it is. But
so
raccoons
far,
they are definitely the bane of my existence. I can't tell you how much I wish they would just go away.
I probably could have had a whole series on like TikTok with this one raccoon on a grapevine that I made into a mock scrape. Like he was there almost every day, swinging on it. He's the goofiest. It was funny to watch him, just to watch him kind of prance around and then jump on it and swing on it, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's pretty interesting. But
We've got one right now that's in a new location right in Ohio. He's the same thing. Every night he climbs up the tree and climbs down the poison ivy. So
well, if anything, you got him a little jungle gym. He's
yeah,
happy.
yeah, they're great. I love it.
Any more raccoons, I end up giving them a fitness program with all these things, and also a feeding program with with the corn we
There
put
you go.
out.
There you
So
go.
they got their own little spa when they show up there. They got their, they come get their exercise and food while they're there. One stop shop.
There you go.
Well, anyways, I think we covered a good bit on this one. At least, not to get too overly complicated in the
Right,
whole
right.
subject, because I think it's one of those ones that we don't need to.
Correct.
Basically, if they're not coming to it, move a little
Right.
bit. If they can't reach it, lower it. Don't hunt it all the time. Matter of fact, don't hunt it at all. Hunt the
Right. There
ins and
you go.
outs
Right
of it.
there. Sit the edges, hunt the edges, hunt the approach
Right.
and the exit. Yep. The fringes.
Right. And I'll say this, like we know what is best, right? And we just got to talk what the best option is. If you want to look at it, good, better, best, all right, maybe you don't want to go the full on like stay off of it. The better option then would be, which one step below best. The better option is, I would probably tell you that if that's you absolutely want to use it as a destination, you have no other options of getting in on this deer, then you had better have that deer pinned and know exactly when he's going to be there, or when your deer that you want, whether it's a doe, buck, whatever. I really don't, I encourage you to shoot all, but if whatever deer you're after, you better have them pinned so that you're not going in and out of there every day and leaving you sitting there to actually blow that whole site up. And then it might recover in a few weeks. It might not. I don't know. That's, it depends on your deer and how often they're pressured, and a few other variables that go into that.
Your neighbor may
But for
kill him at
sure,
that
like,
point.
yeah, congratulations, you helped your
Right.
neighbor.
After all
So
the work you
you
did to keep him from going to your neighbor.
you'll be best friends with your neighbor after that. I
Yeah.
guarantee it. So yeah, then make sure you have a good plan. Go in there and only hunt on the days that you know for sure you have like the high percentage chance of having an encounter with that deer, and everything is perfect. If the wind's not right, stay
Yeah.
out of it.
It doesn't
If
matter what
you
kind
know,
of pattern you have built. Don't hunt a bad
Mhm.
wind, because then the pattern means
Yeah, it
nothing.
doesn't. Right,
So
absolutely. But but like we said, don't overhunt it. I think there's a lot of people run into that issue real quick. So
well,
that's it. I think that's all I got. What about
that's
you?
it. I don't think I have anything else. I think all I got for you is just remember that memories are forever and they're free, and you should get out and make some.
Absolutely, folks. Make sure you take that to heart from the scrape doctor himself. Ladies and gentlemen, we do appreciate that you took the time to sit and listen to us talk over the last hour about the failures and the resets on how to get yourself back into the game if you notice in just a little bit of an issue with your mock scrape setups, or if you just think that it needs a little refreshing. Hopefully, you guys found this to be beneficial. If you have, make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. And you also check out the Scrape Doctor at his social media accounts on Instagram, TikTok, or check him out at scrapedoctor.com to get your own mock scrape products and stuff. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, until our experiences cross paths again, may you have the courage to fail, but yet the humility to learn. And as always, we hope you stay safe out there, and God bless you. Thank you for listening to the Country Fried Outdoors Chasing Your Experience podcast. Before you go, don't forget to leave us a review and follow the show on the podcast platform of your choice. Are you hungry for more Country Fried Outdoors? Then follow us on Instagram at Country Fried Outdoors, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Country Fried Outdoor Productions.